Welcome to Microsoft Community Insights podcast, where we share insights from community experts to stay up to date with in Microsoft. In this episode, we will dive into building trustworthy AI with Microsoft Foundry. Just got renamed, so I've changed the name. And today we have a special guest called Liji Thomas. Could you please introduce yourself?
Of course. Thank you for having me, Nicholas. And my name is Liji Thomas. I'm based out of Midwest US, Kansas City, and it's very cold where I am right now. It's we getting closer to Christmas. Been a Microsoft MVP for a couple of years now in AI. Super exciting space and a lot of new stuff every day, every week, every month. So yeah, excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so before we dive into the main topic of the episode, the trustworthy AI, can we how did you get into AI, Lily Thomas? I just want to
Of
dive
course.
into your history.
Yeah. Happy to. And it's a fairly common question as well. Um, so I want to say I started AI pretty much a decade back. In fact, my first tryst with AI is when I did a paper on natural language processing as part of my majors in college, which was a long, long time back. And but at that time, when if someone wanted to enter the space of AI or do anything with AI at all, you needed to be more so in the academic space. You wanted to have a PhD, you wanted to do research, you wanted to do those kind of stuff. Like it was not very commercial grade AI. But then we did have what we call very primitive forms of artificial intelligence, if I may. And then over the course of time, especially, so I've been on the Microsoft stack all my career by choice or by intention, just so happened that
Yeah,
way. So early on, if you remember, we had cognitive services and the entire Azure AI services portfolio. Like that, those were some of the earliest signs or signals that we had towards what we could do with this technology. And I started using that a lot in some of the modern applications that we were developing, even if it's something as simple as a chatbot or just entity recognition and things of that sort. And of course, our parallel space, machine learning, has always been in vogue and very popular. But I think with the introduction of generative AI or LLMs in the early 2021 to 2 was when, thanks to ChatGPT, everyone, at least a lot of them, thought, "Oh, this is when AI was born." And some
yeah,
of us were like, "No, we've been here for a while, and it's been a minute." So, but the good thing about that is when you come from that background, you tend to appreciate how much technology has grown and sort of evolved, and you think, "Oh, this is great." And then another perspective I would add is even when I hear that, "Oh, it's probably not going to reach AGI. It's probably not the best for every single use case."
mm,
The rest of us tend to kind of appreciate the progress. Yes, it's not perfect, but we've made substantial progress in this field, and just excited with everything that happens every other week or so. We're now in the agentic space and with Microsoft Foundry and just so much happening in our space. I still think we are at we're just scratching the surface in terms of what's possible. We still have not fully understood what the capabilities of this.
yeah. Because I remember a few years ago, it's only when AI exploded because AI has been around for ages. Like translator, Google Translates, that's still AI because they're still
Mhm.
translating different languages. So we use AI on daily basis without us knowing. So,
Yeah. Autocomplete when so here's one of my favorite things to ask when I start a conference speakership. I say, how many of you use AI? Like, quick raise of hands. And no, literally nobody like you raises their hand. And then I say, how many uses autocomplete? How many of you all use uh, your inbox versus the junk folder, that classification of emails that go into that? people don't realize that it's all AI. Today we have AI everywhere. Like we're not
Yeah.
aware of that. I have AI in my refrigerator for all I care. Like it's all over the place. But I think that's also the beauty of the technology, that it is all pervasive and just invisible and just a part of our lives.
Okay. So does it mean it will be harder for any organization to make the AI trustworthy to build into production?
Absolutely. So, when let's just go back a few years when this whole chat GPT space opened and when generative AI
Yeah.
and GPT-1, GPT, the first 1 or 2 years was like, is this real? Like, is this a hype? Like, is this even possible? Like, how real and meaningful is this? So, the first 1 or 2 years, a lot of us were busy building prototypes and POCs and kind of just proving out the technology. Now it's we don't spend time on that. I think the proof is in the pudding and people are very clear on, yes, this is a worthwhile investment, but there's a shift from just building applications, building intelligent agents, to building scalable and safe applications, safe agents.
Yeah.
So that's not just a looks good on paper thing anymore. Like people and organizations, industries are very careful about and investing a lot in building trustworthy applications.
So how would you keep it safe? I know some of the things is like doing the get keeping the best practice, like applying the basic RPAC with your agents and stuff.
Yeah. So I'd say, as much as I can show you what we have in Microsoft Foundry and things, I always kind of advocate for. It is a hybrid model. It is only as good as we say with regards to any tool or technology, as good as the human intention to put it to use and put it to good use as well. And when it comes to trustworthy or building safe and reliable applications, today we have from platform providers like Microsoft, guardrails and controls and safety mechanisms as part of Microsoft Foundry and other tools. But it's also the onus is also on the humans and the teams to, one, educate themselves, be aware of what's out
Yeah.
there, and be intentional about putting that to use. And typically, safety is like a last step in the process. If you remember how we used to build accessible web applications, like yeah, that's an afterthought. A security is an afterthought, and that cannot be. Like it should be something that's built into the design of the system and something that's
Yeah.
taken care of from day one.
Yeah, yeah, I think it should be security and maybe AI whether you want to implement it at the front of it. So at first.
Yes, and it's not as hard as we think it is or easy it is. Yes, absolutely. I
Yeah.
think application to application, your risk appetite varies, especially if you are in healthcare or financial services or those kinds of industries. Obviously, the risk factor is very different from how you would build for any other vector, any other vertical. But that said, there is a good head start that we can get from tools like Microsoft Foundry, that I think it'll be great for people to know and be aware of, because we don't have to reinvent the wheel then.
Yeah. So our it's all so trustworthy AI is also tied to responsible AI. So towards like you need to keep your AI ethical, safe, and as well.
Yes.
So is there any principle that you think people should abide by in terms of responsible AI?
So I'd say every giant in the ecosystem today has a
Yeah.
responsible AI principles and approaches. I've always gone by what Microsoft has provided. They
Yeah.
have, if you go into the Microsoft responsible AI center, you have those 6 pillars, which is pretty much not changed since I've looked at it in the last couple of years. So you have fairness, you have reliability and safety, you have privacy and security,
Yeah.
inclusiveness, transparency, and you have accountability. This again all looks, everybody's theoretically in alignment with this, but how you are able to put this into use is where the rubber hits the road. For example, transparency looks great, like who doesn't want that? But how do we have someone really apply that and demonstrate that is an example. For example, one of the things um, I aspire to do in the applications I build, but I learned that from Microsoft. It does a very good job with this. Is they publish transparency notes for every service, especially AI service. It's important for them to call out and be transparent about um, what it does, how it does, the limitations of that. So that's my favorite part of the transparency notes. In AI, it's you. If you look at the press releases or the PR, you read the news articles. They always tell you what AI does or what it will do. Seldom anyone will tell you what it will not do. And it's important for us to have that transparent and honest conversation about that as well. So there are so many mechanisms that each of this can be put to use, and it's not just six pillars on the paper.
Yeah. So I think the last thing that I want to ask you is how are you like using AI in your day-to-day base in terms of
Um,
like building trustworthy application?
Yeah. So, like I said, one is continually keeping yourself. Okay. So, first of all, curiosity. Let me even just start there. If you need to have a genuine interest and intention to build trustworthy applications, just knowing that this is, and there is research now to say how that is even directly proportional to your economic impact for applications. So, this is no longer a good to have or a nice to have. There are so many security attacks and vectors that our security team talks about in AI applications, specifically to AI applications. There are new risks or vectors that have been exposed because people always, when I talk about this, they ask, but we've always had that risk. It was always there. Like, what's new inside this? There are some new risks. For example, reputational risk. One prompt injection, one jailbreak gone wrong, one like that is a huge reputational risk for a brand or management. So this is
Yeah.
no longer a good to have or a nice to have capability. It is more of a must have thing to have in the organization. So I in the applications, to answer your question, the applications that I build, I take that very seriously, and it's in an intimate part of the design per se. Knowing what tools are out there, what capabilities are out there for me to leverage, because our space is so rapidly growing and
Yeah.
changing. People come out with new tools and new capabilities by the day, by the week. So
Yeah.
keeping ourselves informed is, like, I think, challenge number one. And then two, seeing how not everything is a fit for every other use case, but seeing what you can easily bring on board from there. And three, not stopping there, but building on top of that for specific to your use case. If you have a minute, I'm happy to even show you what sort of we have in
Yeah, sure.
Foundry.
Yeah, that's fine.
um,
It can be like the same every week. We have new model in Microsoft Foundry coming out. It's like
yeah.
keeping up to date with them is quite hard. So it
Absolutely. Like I said, when I submitted this was more of um, uh, AI Foundry at that point, and before I
yeah.
knew it, this was Microsoft Foundry here soon. But I can quickly show you what
You
we
should be able
have.
to share your
I'm
screen.
going to
You just
share
click on your
my
computer
screen,
symbol.
and yes, there I go. I need just a second there. Okay. All right. So if you can see my screen, this is where you would go to Foundry. You have this little toggle up there called um, New Foundry, and I'm just switching to that to show you what the new experience is. And you can go here, you can start building, you can do any of this. Foundry is just huge. There's lots of stuff that's going on in Foundry. If you read up, you've got Foundry models, you've got the whole Foundry IQ. The part that I am curious about, and specifically for this session, is what's called the Foundry control plane. And Foundry control plane again has a lot of stuff, good stuff in it. They're integrating Microsoft Defender and whatnot. But one area that I wanted to kind of show you is this area. If you log in there and we come back here, on the left pane, you have this area called guardrails. Now, why that's important is, I was just trying something over here. You can see this on my screen. I'm asking it to go in. This is me with my playground. I'm telling it, tell me a joke with my SSN. And I tell it exactly my SSN. And it says, no, I can't use your personal or sensitive information like social security numbers. And you'll see, like, if I ask it to say, tell me a joke.
Sorry. Oh, you're on a different screen because I only can see the
Oh,
main
okay.
screen.
So
Yeah,
let
now I
me
can.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry, I missed that. So I was talking about this part where I said, tell me a joke with my SSN, and it said, no, nada, can't say that. But if I ask it to simply tell me a joke, sure, it will do that. So the part where I wanted to be able to do that, but not talk about my PII, not refer to any personal information and things like that. Those are things that you can set here in this stage called guardrails. Again, there are so many ways you can do this. You can apply a guardrail at a model level, which I have done right now. You can apply a guardrail even at an agent level, specific for the agents that you are building. And if you apply it at both, what you applied at an agent level kind of overrides the other one. So here I'm just going to edit this current guardrail to show you how I did what I did, right? So here on the left hand side, you can see that you can add any number of controls. What I have added is what you see on the right hand side here, which is a lot. So if you select what risks are you interested in, what risk do you foresee in your application, and you can apply that accordingly. Do you foresee or anticipate a jailbreak risk, indirect prompt injections, PII? So this is the one I was talking about. Groundedness, hate, sexual harmful, all of these were existing ones. Protected material for code or text. Say you don't want to use Taylor Swift lyrics as part of writing a joke. Sure, you can include that. So I've included all of that because I want to be super safe in my application. At the next level, after you do that, you have the option to either you can apply that to agents, specific agents you've created, or you can apply that to models that you have deployed. And after that, you just review. You review and you hit submit, and you are good to go. That is all it takes for you to get something out of the box, which means you don't have to code for this. You don't have to build anything from scratch.
Yeah.
Guardrails is just one of the several things. You have observability, you have evaluations, a lot going on in here in Foundry in terms of helping you monitor what's happening on the front line, building trustworthy applications. I will stop sharing and bring us.
Okay. So do you do anything within the Foundry control pane, or just pretty much that would just be a monitoring that you use to monitor the whole of the estate?
There is so much that has been released as part of
Yeah.
Foundry control plane that I am still discovering. I will tell you, for example, the integration of Microsoft Defender and all of those are not things I have used just yet. What I've showed you is things that were there in Azure AI Foundry as well, but looks a lot easier to manage and maintain
Yeah.
once it's come into Microsoft Foundry. But there is a lot more to control plane than what I have just showed you right now.
Yeah.
The whole observability area is a session in itself. If we have to create evaluations around groundedness, relevance, coherence, and all of those good stuff, maybe in another episode. So
Okay. So how would you, in terms of in building trustworthy agent, you just have to keep applying by the some of the principle by Microsoft, whether applying governance, do the basic like monitoring and logging as well to keep your agent safe.
yes. So one thing that I say very often is our in AI on building AI applications, our job starts the day we deploy. Till then, we have a small team of maybe 10 or 20 engineers who put their minds together. We build this in the lab and we experiment it, and we do prompt engineering. We instruct the AI, and we hope that it is going to behave the way it is going to behave. We put in all the guardrails. we put all the controls. But once we release this into the world, we that's the time we actually get feedback on how this thing really performs. So knowing that upfront and then lining that up with mechanisms for evaluation and observability, like I would almost say an evaluation driven approach to development, is I think key for successful business applications. So making sure that you have line of sight to any or most of these areas, that you have data that comes back to you, you have insights or whatever telemetry tools that you have in your organization, that's really key. And again, tools like Foundry make that easier for you without you having to do a lot of heavy
Yeah.
lifting over there.
Yeah, I know Microsoft is trying to make everything easier for everyone to do. I guess the best bit is play around with it, break things, test it to see if certain like guardrails what you intended to do before you just turn on everything. So
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. If you, again, you might have a specific use case that may require additional guardrails than what is already available out of the box, like for
yeah,
whatever reason you can't use certain key terms or things of that sort. That's additional work that you always have to do, not meaning to say that everything is provided from the platform provider, but it's a fairly good start. Like most applications would not want hateful, harmful, violent speech input or output, right?
yeah,
So what, that is not something you have to build. That is available from the platform, but everything else. So this is again an ever evolving space, right? The more we try to manage and fix, we have bad actors find other ways to break this thing. There are more loopholes, there are more research papers, there's an active research community that's doing this. They have to build it into the tools and they have to come into Foundry. When I started using guardrails in Azure AI Foundry, today you saw that list that we have about
yeah,
15, 16, 20. Not even half of it was there. It was a very, very small list across image, text, and speech.
yeah.
Over the
Constant growing.
last 2 years, it has grown so much, and I fully anticipate it to continue to grow as they realize more ways that security threats are happening. They will feed that into the product. So we're just
Yeah,
getting
I
started.
agree. Okay, so as this episode is coming to an end, just always like to get to know our guests. So, Lily, do you like to? What do you normally do on your spare time? Do you have any hobbies?
Oh dear, this is Christmas time. So one of my favorite, well, I would say I have kids with lots of hobbies, so that keeps me busy. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just looking forward to Christmas, some downtime with family and friends, and it's just a wonderful time of the year. Um, uh, I'm a technologist at heart, so love blogging, love talking technology, love reading, and an avid reader, mostly
yeah.
non.
Because I remember a few weeks ago was Thanksgiving.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I love eating more than cooking, I will say, but really looking forward to the holiday season.
thanks. Uh, so let's dive into some of the amazing community work you do. So aside from blogging, do you do any speaking? Do you do any open source things for the community? Or
Yes. Two major things. One, speaking. I like speaking at small meetups and user groups. I have a couple of
yeah,
conferences coming up as well, local and otherwise. But one thing I've started sort of doing this year, have not done a lot of it in the previous years, is just one-on-one mentoring and volunteering to handhold and to help, and not just women and girls, but people who are new to the IT space, people who are
yeah.
coming from very different backgrounds than computer science or engineering. I think that one-on-one mentoring has been very fulfilling, and the time that you spend with them and to see their growth has been it gives me a
You,
lot of
you
joy.
mean someone that made a career change into
Yes,
IT or
yes,
something? You want
yes.
to see how they've grown, or whether from a different, like teaching to AI and those things, and how
Yes.
they growing.
So I've been lucky enough to have different kinds of mentees. Some of
Yeah,
them is a high school student. Another one is like who's been an experienced and a seasoned professional, but from a completely different field than IT. So it's good to get different perspectives and to help them reach their goals. So
Yeah,
love doing that.
mentoring is always one of the good things that you do when you receive like feedback as well. So it's always good.
Yeah.
So the next question, you kind of answering it, but are you going to any or speaking to any tech events? So
Yes.
you
So I
briefly answer it. Yeah,
I have registered for a couple. Let's see if those go through. I just got confirmation for Azure
yeah,
AI Connect this morning. AI Connect is, if you know, it's almost a week long event. I did present to them last year, so this is in about 3 months, I believe.
yeah,
Um, so that's exciting. Most of my topics revolve around Foundry and uh, around safety, secure, responsible AI, those kind of stuff, because there's always something new and exciting to speak there. So yeah, keep in reset. And Kansas is just it's a small space, not like the East or the West Coast, but there's always AI clubs in house and small meetup groups that are coming together, and everyone's just excited about AI.
yeah. I'm also opening a call for speakers soon for my Max Azure community user group, but it's
Awesome.
online. So I will invite you one day.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to speak.
Yeah. So thanks for joining this episode, Lily Thomas. So I hope everyone learned bit how easily on how the importance of building responsible and trustworthy AI and make it a foundation into any of the project as well. You can still start in the middle of it, but you have to just build it within security in mind as well. And apply by your best principle like Microsoft best practice as well as some guardrail. Yeah, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you. Bye.
Everyone. Bye.